Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where we discover the communities that are making a difference in the lives of others. Our self-discovery is something we are all making on our life's journey. Here you will find the people that will be your guidance, that will be your inspiration, that will be there for you in support on your journey of life. Do enjoy. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Rick Heyland. He has, for 35 years, been working in corporations and organizations, and he did extremely well and he achieved a great deal. But somewhere along the line, the little tap on the shoulder happened to him and he completely changed directions and became someone who wanted to help other people's lives improve, follow their right path, be true to who they are. And Rick has a consultant business of all sizes to improve performance. He specializes in helping leaders identify their personal and business performance gaps to improve performance. And as a second largest shareholder of the COO in his consulting company, he helped the company grow from 33 consultants to 250. His formula for goal setting, accountability, high engagement, detailed planning has helped many leaders and companies enhance their performance. And I think one of the, the big points we're going to be talking about today is how do you stay focused? The guide to accomplishing the goals that you set for yourself, the habits of the happiest and most successful people, and steps to scale a consulting business. And we've put this under Choose Positive Living today because life is a choice, but it could also fit very well under the business show as well. Purpose, that is actually something, as far as I'm concerned, is the be all end all. It's everything. Once you discovered
Amen.
what your purpose is in life, now you can truly and utterly engage in it. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Sarah, lovely to be with you today.
So, what was it? Was it a cosmic 2x4? Was it a tap on the shoulder? Was it
Mm.
just one day, I just don't want to go down this road anymore?
I got into consulting because of purpose,
Mhm.
and I left consulting after 32 years because of purpose. And that constant process of inner reflection and looking inside and determining what's your best path to live your values and your next phase. In fact, I just helped my 85-year-old father rework his purpose to find happiness during COVID and
Mhm.
being shut in and insulated. And my mother has forms of dementia, and so had to re-clarify his purpose. So, as you, I'm a big believer in the inner reflection
Mhm.
that causes one to find the purpose so you can live your best life. And that's what I'm doing today after retiring out of consulting, is how to help people find their best life. So yeah, but I found my career because of purpose, and I could tell
Mhm.
that story if we have time.
Yes, we have
And
plenty
then
of time.
yeah, so that's an interesting story, and I hope people will kind of take this that this isn't about just finding a career. It's really about
Mm.
articulating and being proactive. It's I love the story, Sarah, of people that, had a major health crisis or
Yeah.
job crisis or life crisis and came back. It inspires all of us. I think my message today is be proactive, articulate your purpose and your values so that you have a great chance at living your best life. And that doesn't guarantee that things
Mhm.
won't fall off
Yeah.
and you won't have adversity, but it does help you respond with your values during adversity. So real quickly, I was from Western Canada, graduated, did well, got an MBA program in Eastern Canada. I was the youngest, least experienced person. So I knew I had to kind of work harder than everybody else. Got in 2 months of that MBA program and got a test back and figured out, oh my goodness, I think I was one of the lowest grades in the class. And so this is kind of hopefully one of the learning points during crises, during trials of massive proportion, or in this
Mhm.
case, a small proportion. Look inside, reflect, and figure out. So I went downstairs for the weekend in our unfurnished at the time townhouse with Tild Cheryl and the two kids, Brett and Nikki were 4 and 2, going downstairs to kind of, I heard Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective
Mhm. Yeah.
People author, say you should have a mission statement and begin with the end in mind. So I articulated that weekend. I worked on I'm going to call it a purpose statement, but I use the terms interchangeably. And so I articulated, I came out, went back to school on Monday, and there was no flashing lights or ahas,
Mm-hmm.
other than I felt a sense of peace on articulating what my strengths are and who I wanted to be in the future.
Yeah.
So a year and a half later, fast forward, started looking for jobs. Nothing looked interesting. I didn't really know, to be honest, that this purpose statement, this mission statement was going to be a linchpin in choosing my job. But what happened is that as this small boutique consulting company came recruiting at the MBA school, it just, the words on the page just jumped out because it was some of the same words
Mm.
I had in my purpose statement about continuous improvement, about action orientation, about helping people, about helping businesses. And so I applied to it. I went home to Cheryl that day until I found my job. I knew it was exactly who and what and where I'm supposed to be. So the next day or two, the announcements came back and I was not on the short list for interview. And so I was just about to go into a little pity party, decided, let me phone up the head office in Vancouver, British Columbia, not too far from where you are today. And, basically they tell the story that I don't know if I was this bold, but basically told them they made a mistake and that I should really be on that list. And so she looked at my resume and says, well, you're a little underexperienced and, but, there's a lot of qualified candidates, but you know what? You've shown a lot of spirit and passion. Why don't you just write yourself? This is before the internet, right? So write yourself on the list of your number 11 interview at 5 p.m. So bottom line, Sarah, is I was the only one to get the job and went on to have a marvelous career and retired as the second largest shareholder in the COO 2 years ago. So I think that one of the lessons on the value of intentionality, a value of kind of forward looking, I'm going to call it purpose statement, but you can use lots of words in there, is it can really help map your best life or who you really want to be and be remembered. And so in that case, I didn't even think at the time it was going to help my career. I was just kind of desperate for an idea. And at that point, it really helped me articulate who and what I wanted to be part of. And so that when it manifests itself, when it came a knocking, I knew I had something because I had done the pre-work. And so hopefully that's one of the messages from today, is for people to do that inner reflection like you encourage on many of your channels of self-discovery, is to do that self-discovery, because then you can manifest yourself and you can move towards that intention of who you want to be and be proactive in life rather than wait to see what happens. So
Yeah,
does that
exactly.
make sense?
100% makes sense. And I think, as people, we're all seeking to belong. Where's my tribe? Where do I belong? How do I fit in? And we're trying to do it externally rather than internally. And, if we understand, well, what do I stand for? Who am I? Where's my integrity? What are my boundaries? What would I stand up for and fight for? Or what would I embrace? What do I want to see? Reverse back, look, what do you want your legacy to be? And
Excellent.
that gives you an idea of what your purpose should be. Now, we go on our life's journey and we go left, right, center, and sometimes backwards, forwards, whichever way. And each one of those experiences is a lesson. But if we've got a purpose in mind, and it could be as simple, I want to make a difference in the lives of others,
Right.
and you don't know how yet, that's
Yep.
okay. You've got that mission of why you're here.
Right.
Now, the how you're going to do it, with whom you're going to do it, which is your tribe, is a totally different ball game, because you're bringing you to the table and not waiting for other people to define who you are and what your purpose is.
Yeah, it's so much more powerful to be proactive. In writing the book called Live Your Purpose, I did all the research and found I had this personal experience, but then I did the research and found there's like 10 health benefits to articulating a forward-looking purpose, like literally longer life, less hospital time, et cetera, et cetera. Self-fulfillment, is part of that list of 10. So there's all these, and so, but there is some anxiety on how. And so
Mhm.
I think the magic that I'm trying to bring, if you said, well, Rick, how's your book any different from any other fulfillment book or self-discovery,
Other than you
self-development
wrote
book?
it.
Yeah. And I think one of the ways I'd answer that, Sarah, is to say, I spent a lot of time on the why it's important and showed the research and all that. but I spent a lot of time on how.
Mm,
So it's almost in workbook fashion. So, for example, chapter 4 is called the 777 process. And I haven't found this in all my research. I haven't found anybody really articulate how. And
yeah,
so I put it in a 777, 7 questions, 7 hours over 7 days. So, and the first question is exactly what you just articulated. And that is, you're at your funeral. You can't control what people say. Don't worry about the
mhm,
control factor. But what would you like them to
yeah,
say? If you were to say and have an imagination, and then, okay, if those are the things you, well, Rick or Sarah was a great person, kind to everyone, really made a difference in everything. Whatever words
yeah,
you want them to say, then, to your point, the harder work, if you will, is to reverse engineer it then
yeah,
back to
yeah.
today and figure out what I have to do. And that's what we call goals and habits and
Mm,
planning and all that. But the first step is actually figuring out, and it doesn't have to be perfect and it's not going to stay the same for your whole life, but go out there and figure out, first of all, what are those values and those
mm.
intentions that you want to live by in your best life. Not just rearward looking, because we want to be even better than we were in the
Yeah,
past. As you said to
exactly.
me off air, we want to be
Mm,
forward looking,
yes.
honoring the past, but forward
Mm,
looking in our intentions and desire. So yeah, I'm a big believer, Sarah, that part of the magic is articulating how to get people from a frozen position or a 66% happy position to 80% or 90 or whatever. And so that's what I've tried to do, is articulate some hows.
I have a word every year that I use, and my word this year is actionism, because last year
Mm-hmm.
it was reflection. And it is now time to act, even if you're only planting seeds, or now you're watering, nurturing those seeds you planted last year. But it's take action, the forward moving. But it's take action without dictation, but take action in preparation. And a lot of people, I want to be here at this age, and I want to be this at that, and I got to be
Yeah.
here, there. And that again is the external life,
Yeah.
because it's being measured by what you think society or everybody else will judge you by. But if you go, I am prepared for this journey that I'm taking, I'm listening, I'm learning, I'm adapting, I'm adopting. It's in my backpack, but I'm going to allow life to guide me. You're going to be able to see life in so much more abundance and so many more opportunities, because you're prepared to seize the day when it's ahead of you, when it's right there in front of you. But we can't dictate this rigidity of I've got to, or I should, and I need to. Get rid of those, because they're going to stop you from really seeing an opportunity in front of you and how to embrace it. Again, back to that how. How do you embrace that opportunity in front of you?
That's
Step forth in yourself. Be
that
prepared to seize it.
That is such a great point. I call it kind of Western thinking versus Eastern
Yeah.
thinking. So Western is manifest yourself, your world's your oyster, you can accomplish anything, go big, dream big, right? And there's some good nuggets of wisdom in there. And then I'm going to call it, I hope this isn't an overgeneralization, kind of the Eastern philosophies of stay present, be
Mm,
content, focus on what you have versus what you haven't. And my passion is, and what I've tried to do then in the last half of the book, is bring those two ideologies, if you will, together. Yes, manifest yourself. Yes, set a
yes.
direction. Be proactive. But then be very careful in your reflection and thinking about, okay, I've set this direction, and you have to your word, have the flexibility to accept what happens,
Mhm.
accept it, be present, accept it, be grateful for it, and then build plans off of that. Because I at the beginning of 2020, I had no idea I was going to write a book. I
Right.
knew my purpose was to stop business consulting and start in the personal development business. And so I opened CI for Life and the website, et cetera, et cetera. And I knew I wanted all I had got in the manifestation side is I wanted to reach thousands and thousands of people with this message of purpose, goals, habits, and then this idea now we're talking about of how to handle stress or setbacks or keep on the path. I call it keep living your purpose. it's
Mm,
it's not actually hard to set a purpose or goals. It's harder to then continue to
maintain it.
live it without being discouraged on setbacks,
Yeah.
or, oh, you know what, goal setting doesn't work,
Mm,
manifestation doesn't work. I'm just going to react. I'm so discouraged that I
mm,
haven't reached this goal at this time, to your point. But if you can stay open and every
yeah.
day aware of what happened, be an observer, as if you will, and be aware of what happened and how can I learn from that. Nelson Mandela,
Mm-hmm.
President of South Africa, one of my heroes, had a quote that I love. He says, "I never lose. I either win or learn." And this is
Yes.
the man that's in prison for 29 years, right?
Yes.
So I never lose. And think about this daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. I never lose, either win or learn. So maybe there's been a lot of less winning and a lot of learning in your life,
Mm-hmm.
but still it's learning to help you be better in the future. And so if I think we can take that mindset that it's about learning and winning and being grateful for what we have. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, appreciation. That's
Yes.
one of the, in the back half of the book where I'm trying to teach this acceptance idea. I do a whole chapter on gratitude. Just, I can't tell you, for a striving person, for someone that tries to accomplish and be the best self, how important gratitude is in our lives for happiness, for contentment, and for learning.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big believer in the power of focusing on what you have and what you've been blessed with, and what that actually helps you propel you into the future. So
Yeah.
anyhow, I know there's a lot there. You got me all excited on a couple of topics
That's
there.
fine. I love excitement. Gratitude for learning. You know, a lot of people failure, and I know a failure to me is when you refuse to get back up and try again.
Right.
Everything else is just a lesson. I call it redirect. That didn't work. Let's try a little to the left or the little to the right and try something different. We wouldn't have a light bulb if Einstein hadn't done that, right? It's
Yeah.
that this didn't work. It doesn't mean it's a failure. It just
Edison.
means I've got to try doing it a different way. Very often it could be the universe saying to you, you're going down the wrong road. Stop, worrying a sore. Keep rubbing the sore. Let it heal. Pause. Take a moment, reflect, and go, okay, where am I at? Am I chasing an illusion? Or am I still being true to my calling, my purpose? And sometimes we're so busy going down that road because somebody said, you've got to go down that road. This is the only success you'll ever have. Instead of listening to yourself, your heart, your soul, your spirit, before your mind, and go into, okay, but what feels right? We ignore feelings, and we give so much attention to the negative feelings. Oh, I
Great
failed.
point.
Oh, I shouldn't have done this. And oh, no. And we get so caught up in that. And it's like, our emotions are here for a reason. They're an indication of where we're at, but don't get emotional about them, because now we're going into a spiral where we're losing control. We're losing any ability to receive anything. So sometimes, you talked about the Eastern, be present, take that deep breath, step back. Is
Be
this
the
really where my
observer.
purpose needs to go? Am I, trying to open a door that doesn't want to be opened? Am I missing there's a window wide open over there? And, we can't see the forest for the trees because we're just too anxious about it.
Yeah.
The anxiety,
Be
step
open.
into gratitude to the fact that you can have the ability to move forward when it's ready, but don't rush it until it's ready.
Yeah. And so many people that you talk to and we coach in life get discouraged because I've
Mm.
set this manifestation, I've set this intention,
Yes,
goal, whatever word
it's
you want to
Friday.
use
It
for
hasn't
it.
arrived.
Right. It hasn't happened yet. And I haven't earned my $1 million, or I'm
Right.
not married, or I'm not,
Yeah.
don't have kids, or I don't have, whatever's missing in your life. And so I'm just fascinated with the idea on how and helping people on the how.
Yes.
And of course, as you know, coaching and having a third person or another person to help you reflect and get the right mindset is huge. But what I did recently to try to get to this next step on how is I actually developed I call it a CI for life journal or planner. And on the first page, it actually has what is your purpose. So that's a chance to articulate in every journal on the first page what it is that you're striving for. Next page is goals. Next page is action plans. But then every day, as you open up, on the left hand side page is gratitude and learnings
Hmm.
every day. What am I grateful for? What
Yeah.
were the blessings? Little, big, whatever.
I got
Not
up
just,
today.
yeah. And
Yes.
not just outcome. Right. Made the
Yes.
bed for the 10th day in a row.
Yeah.
My wife, she's a big believer. If you start with that, it sets the day up right. But anyhow, I
Yes.
digress. So, if you get to learnings and gratitude every day, so I'm either learning, grateful, and most days you're both, right? I
Yes.
learned from a disappointment yesterday and what I would do differently. And I'm grateful for this. What a great mindset.
Yeah.
And then on the right hand page is, okay, what's my plan of the day and what are my top 3 priorities? So just giving people tools, if you're in that mindset that I want to learn and be grateful, I want to live on purpose. My idea was in this journal planner was to give people a tool and a method
Yeah.
to do exactly what we're talking about. So that, again, I'm just so
Yeah, you're not
passionate
giving
about
them a
how.
manual.
No,
That's the point.
it's your best life, not mine,
It's
not
not paint
Sarah's.
by colors, right? All
Right,
you're doing is giving them some tools, but
right.
they have to apply it
Yeah,
and
yeah,
use it in a way that they feel is advantageous. So it's a guiding system. It's something to put in the backpack. But so many people want the manual. No, no, no. Tell me how. What's my next step? What's my next step? You're preparing them for that next step.
yeah.
You're
Let them
preparing them
discover
to
it.
see what's in front of them and how to make a choice.
Yeah. Well, Neil Mather, I'll give him a shout out. He was one of the leaders of a client that I worked with for years. And Neil, if you're listening, actually, I'll forward this to you. But he used to say, change, the most powerful change in people and organizations is when you teach mindset, skill set, and tool set. And if you
Yeah.
can put those three things together, either in personal change or organizational change, because so many people just do mindset or just bring a tool
Yes.
or just teach, train new skills.
Like medicine, only address one thing,
Right.
right?
Let's do all three.
Yes.
Let's do all three and give people the mindset, skill set, and tool set for personal development, change, and transformation. And then we're laughing.
Do you know this book? Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes. Yes. Spencer Johnson. Yeah.
One of my Bibles. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a true colors
Simple.
coach as well. So, often I think it's there's one personality telling another personality a perspective to follow. But if we understand our own personality and what other personality traits are out there, we learn to listen to the different language. And we can then transfer it into our own, translate it into our own understanding. But somebody, is the go-getter, you've just got to do this and you will succeed. Well, that's the way they do it. Somebody else is a contemplator, a researcher, and that's the way they do it. Somebody else is like, just give me the tool, give me the tools, I'll put it together. And the other person, I've got to feel it. So understanding who you are will help you understand your purpose, but also in which style you are going to participate in any of the program. Your book can be generic to any personality trait, but they've got to read it from their own perspective and understand it back in that way.
Yeah.
We've really got to learn, I think, as far as I'm concerned, a little bit more about whom we're speaking to or whom we are. Why do I see things differently to other people? Well, this is my personality trait. This is who I am. And I don't need to be somebody else's thoughts or perspectives. I need to embrace my own, but understand other people's thoughts and perspectives so they can be a more rounded vision of what we're seeing
So let me
in
give you an example
conversation.
of that. And I don't
Mm.
know what color they are, but you'll identify with these, I
Orange,
think.
blue, green, and
No, in this example. Yeah, I
oh,
know
right.
the colors. Yeah, I'm a red, flaring red with a little bit of yellow, and my wife's a white, and there's value in identifying that. But here's an example. As I'm coaching people to develop purpose, all of a sudden I've got a certain, and I don't know what color, that's where I was going, but I'm going to call it the perfectionist that says, wow, this is so important. I have to get this right. And so you coach them through the first couple of questions, and they're such good internal thinkers. What they give you is just magic, but all they needed was a little bit of instigation at the beginning because they were
Mm-hmm.
frozen
Mm-hmm.
because it had to be perfect.
Yes.
And to realize, no, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get going is great coaching for that personality. Whereas in other personalities, they got no problem getting going. They get
Right.
started, they writing, and they don't know what they have at the end. They need some assimilation, some help, kind of bringing it all together. And so those are interesting personalities to deal with because one, I'm just helping to get going, and then they're off and flying in the high quality
And the
thinking.
other
And
one,
you're
you're trying to bring them back a little
right
bit.
now. How do I get it down
Honest
to
them.
50 words because you've got a million out there. So it's fun because there are different personalities and
Yeah.
different methods and different ways, and you have to respect that. And as coaches and as people trying to help people out there, you certainly have to take that into account. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's go back to the word purpose because, I've had many a person say, I didn't know what my purpose was until the old cosmic 2x4 came along, flattened me, and I had to reinvent my life. And then I discovered my purpose. Um, we can have different purposes in life in different chapters. In our different
Yeah.
chapters of our book. I'm a mother. I'm now recently a grandmother as of 4 weeks ago. And each,
Congratulations.
thank you. Each one of these chapters, my purpose has been different, but my core value has been the same.
That's it. That's it. People, and again, you can I've modified my purpose statement 4 or 5 times over the
Mm-hmm.
35 years, but you got a real important point then. And people say to me, well, I'm just so busy being a mother or a
Mm-hmm.
worker or a church leader or that's my purpose. I said, that's good. And that's bringing you purpose, small
Yes.
p purpose. Absolutely. Do never deny that. Raising kids and uh, being a philanthropist or serving in the community or in your church, whatever, that is awesome, small p purpose. But what's your larger p as you step back? Because one day you won't, be as involved as a mother or
Right.
father, and they'll be adults and raising their own family, or you won't have that calling at the food bank that's giving you so much purpose right now. That'll be gone. So that's why I say to those people, yes, absolutely, you've got small p meaning and purpose, but there's still value inside of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens in that purpose statement, it's your core values that you write.
Yes.
It's generally
Yes.
your core values. And
Yes.
so as I'm acting as a mother or father, if I'm articulate on my core values in my purpose statement, then I can try to be my best,
Yeah.
because you only get one shot at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all make mistakes in doing that. As I mentioned to you before, we have 6 kids. But if I'm intentional and I've got identified how I want to be as a mother, father, worker, and all my roles, I've got a better shot at bringing my best self, even when I'm exhausted, even when I make mistakes. So yes, you identify those values, get the big P purpose identified, and then yes, with your family, your community, your church service, act out that and find meaning inside of your bigger purpose.
Yeah. And, as you said, if the purpose changes, that doesn't mean your identity has changed.
No,
It just means your purpose has changed.
yeah,
It's taken a different direction, which is very exciting. I think another thing that people, especially people who have been at the same job for a long time, or, close to retirement, it's like, well, who am I now?
yeah,
I've been this for so long. That was my purpose. And who am I now? And they've lost that identity. And so many people I interview at the age of 50, 60, right up to 88, have rediscovered their purpose in a new direction. And it ain't over until it's over, folks.
oh wow,
We can redirect
amen,
ourselves into doing something wonderful. I started this 9 years ago at 57.
yeah.
Had no idea where it was going. I just went with it and it grew. So
Sarah, just this
allow.
very morning, I had that same conversation with a 66-year-old buddy that said, I've got this. This is transitioning. What do I do now? And so I
Yeah.
took him through the first 3 questions and thank you. I feel better already. That's exactly what I need to do. And that's the awareness that we're trying
Yeah.
to drive,
Yes.
isn't it? Like
Yes.
you don't just set this at 25 and then do your best. This is a constant process of learning and reevaluation and
Yes.
okay, how do I best live my purpose at 65 and at
Yes.
75? And I
Yes.
think I allude already about my dad at 85. He calls me in late September of COVID last year and says, man, I can't, um, my mother has dementia and I can't, I'm struggling there. I'm insulated. I can't go out with friends. I don't have a church calling right now. I can't do work.
Mm.
And so I'm struggling. And so he said, he had just read my book and he's the one that taught me all these things. He says, you know what? I'm going to reevaluate my purpose at 85. I said, oh shit,
Yes.
good for you. You're an
Good for him.
inspiration. So he
Yeah.
does that. And then he articulates a few values about fulfillment, about connection that he was missing. And then on Sunday night, plans every week to how do I get fulfillment connection in the middle of this current environment I'm in? Because it's massively changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so he figured out I'm going to phone 3 grandkids a week. I'm not going to wait for their call. I'm going to
Right.
call them. I'm going to go deliver 2 loaves of, whatever to get his fulfillment and connection at 85. And so whether you're 65 or
Yes.
60 or 25, constantly reevaluating purpose and making plans and direction from that has such power and meaning.
It's that gratitude again that I have a purpose today. That every day doesn't matter. I suffer from an illness, and I can have days where I wake up and it's like, ugh, the moment this goes, on, it's I forget about it. I'm in my purpose. I'm in
Yeah.
my calling. I'm in my zone. It rejuvenates me. It invigorates me, and my body and my mind, my heart and my soul thanks me for doing it, and thanks the people that have rejuvenated me. So we
Gives
can
you
give in We
Yeah.
can give in to, "Ah, I feel awful today. I'm going to give in to the body." And there are times, there are times my body says, I'm flattening you. You're in quarantine. And other times I have the power over it. And that's just navigating it. But if we have that purpose that's going to get us up every day, if we have that something that let's take purpose and really understand what it is. It's service.
Oh, wow. Can I tell you about a piece of research I just did that follows that point? I asked 1,400 people. They filled out my survey. It was from the UK, Australia, Canada, and the US. And it was about productivity and happiness. And of course, I asked some purpose questions, et cetera, around that. And here's what came back: the people in the band of the top happiness answer had these three qualities, a strong correlation to these three qualities. One, they did regular exercise, and most of that was walking, just getting in
Mhm.
nature or outdoors. Two, they planned every day. They had a purpose for every
Mhm.
day, not just I have a macro purpose, but
Mhm.
today I'm just going to try to do five. I'm not feeling that well, but I'm going to try to do these five things. So to give you purpose to get up in the morning that I'm trying to do these five things or 20 things or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And then the third thing is that they were in service to somebody or something, meaning
Yes.
it could have been random acts of kindness. It could have been serving,
Mhm.
somebody in their home. It could have been, a neighbor, whatever that might be. They had exercise, they had daily
Mhm.
planning, and they had service in their day. And those were the happiest people.
Yeah.
No surprise.
Right. The greatest gift of giving is in the receiving. And the receiving is knowing that you've made a difference in someone's life. And it could be that smile. They're walking along, or the barista is making 10 million coffees and everybody wants this and that, and having a hard day, love. I just take a breath, take a pause for a moment, take a breath. I hope your day gets better. You've acknowledged them. You've seen them. And don't we as human beings want to be seen? We
Right.
want to know that we're counted. We're not just another droid out there. And so paying attention to someone, a little act of kindness, a smile, an acknowledgement can make someone's day.
Huge.
We don't need the Clint Eastwood gun. Our smile is that weapon, right? And it's so small. And people say, yeah, but I can't do this. I can't do it. Can you not give someone a smile?
Open the
If
door,
you
be
open the
kind.
door,
Yep.
carry someone's groceries, pat someone's dog. By the way, patting someone's dog is absolutely rejuvenating for you.
Mm,
But I think one of the things that we have forgotten in business, in society, and everything is that our e-commerce is not money. Our e-commerce, it's love, it's
right.
kindness, it's caring.
Right.
And when we can spend that, we are so much more of an enriched and an abundant society. We've got to remember where the money is. It's a tool to help us achieve our service and our purpose.
Right.
And the moment you worship the money, which in the beginning, coming out of university or anything else, it's money driven. I've got to make X amount a year. I'm validated by my house, my car, and how much I earn. Outside thinking. As you get older, you realize I'm being a slave to that job. It's taken me away from my family. I've got all this money. I'm paying huge amount of taxes, but I never have any time to enjoy it. So
Mm,
where's the enrichment? It's in the time to be with your loved ones or to be of service to someone. And that will enrich you in so much more. And no, money is important, but let's put it where it is important and
great
not give
point.
it a higher value than it is.
So Clayton Christensen wrote a great book called How to Measure Your Life. He's also a big believer in mission and purpose statements. And in that book, he shares a case that he was a Harvard MBA professor. And he talks about these people 30 years later coming back, very successful, very rich, captains of industry, and not happy on their
Right.
second or third wife, on estranged from
Yes.
their children. And I'm not
Yes.
making this up. And he
No,
said
no,
this
I've
wasn't
interviewed them, darling. I know.
yeah, and this wasn't an anomaly either. But his point was, and our point today is, stay focused, right? As soon as you can, whether you're 55, 25, whenever you're listening to this, make a balanced set of priorities. I'm going to call
Yes.
them goals rather than just career, because career can suck you in,
Oh
particularly
God,
if you
yes.
very motivated to be successful, make sure that you've got this balanced suite coming out of your purpose of goals to say, spiritually, who am I going to be? Physically, temporally, meaning work, mentally, take care relationship wise. Please make sure in your goals every year, you don't just have work goals or financial goals. Have a relationship goals. How can I stay connected to my kids? How can I be a better partner? How, whatever those goals are for you. So that just says to me the importance of, because it's intoxicating. And let's say you have to work 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
My dad told me about somebody in the Philippines. They just worked their heart out, living in Canada and having to work 2 or 3 jobs, and yet they were happy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the keys to success is in the midst of all, and I'm not a big believer in balanced life, because at some phases of your life, some part of your life is going to take more time than other. But if you can be intentional, I
Mm-hmm.
can work an exhausting 10-hour day, but if I'm intentional that now's my time to take my daughter on a date,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm tired, I built a plan to do that now, then you can still accomplish a lot of things, as long as you're intentional and not just chase the dollar, because
Yes.
that's not the happiness.
No,
That's not where happiness lies.
no, no. I can let you know that for sure. Um, one of the things I think about life that's so absolutely exuberant is being engaged, intentional, and being present. But just the simple things of life. You know, you talked about the top three walks in nature. That's my exercise, walks in nature. I live in beautiful Victoria, BC, which you
Gorgeous.
know. And one of the reasons I live here is I'm right on the water. So I have the
Mm,
sea, breeze, and trees, the three
lovely.
things that fill my soul. Go for a walk along the waterfront, and you've got the breeze coming from the ocean, the trees are shaking and talking to you. Puppy dogs are running up and down, having a whole lot of fun, can't wait to come over to you, wag their tail, and get a pat. Just doing that for however amount of time is just so not only uplifting, rejuvenating, but so calming and so fulfilling. And we need to find that thing that we know, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's an hour, whether it's all day, that that feeds us. And you know, for some people, it might be the treadmill, it might be going for a mountain hike, but what is it that gives you your, I feel connected back with self?
Yeah. And by the way, some days, if you're really struggling with something, with the child's health or emotional needs, mental health, whatever it might be, you might need to do that twice in a day. You might need to go for 2 walks. You might
Mm-hmm.
need to do your prayer and meditation twice, so just keep your soul filled when you're going through these very dark times. Keep a simple plan in place. Keep some of these things that work for yourself, because once you dig yourself in a pit because of discouragement and because of some setbacks and financially or otherwise, it's really hard to get
Yeah,
out. But if you can
yeah.
keep these simple habits in your life that work for your brain and your heart and your soul, and like I say, some days, we had worries about our kids. I had to double down. I had to do the walks and the meditations twice a day just
Mm-hmm.
to stay on the right mental path that I knew would keep me grateful and learning.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about not being in balance, but I look at balance as a yin yang. It's not about the rigidity of balance. It's about in the flow. What we don't want is the extreme highs and extreme lows. We want to just keep things that it's in a constantly in a flow. If you look at our DNA, you look at wavelengths, they're all in a movement. Then nothing is a straight line. If we could take away the straight line in life and understand everything is a dance, everything is a rhythm, everything has a flow to it. And what we want to do is tap into that flow. And when we do, then our core value, our purpose, a whole meaningful thing in life is right there because we're in the flow, we're tuned in, and we're following the right intent. And if we feel ourselves going off kilter, then we know, okay, what do I need to do to bring myself back into that flow? Um, the purpose and the service of life, as I said, that one of the greatest joys is when you serve someone else and you see it's made a difference. You may never get a thank you. You may never get an acknowledgement. Don't do it for that. Don't do it for the praise. Don't do it for the glory. You're doing it because you know you can make a difference. With these shows, I have no idea who they're affecting. They get
Right.
listened, they get shared. Um, Whoever it's touching, that, praise be, that is what's helped them along the way. But I think there's another big word that we've got to learn in our vocabulary, and that is to say no.
Mm, prioritization. Yeah.
Hmm.
There's a whole bunch of good things in life. What's the best thing for me to do right now?
Yes. That's a hard one for people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if you are in the service or the purpose driven. It's like somebody wants me to do this and somebody wants me to do that. And I just, but I've got this on and I've got that priority on. And it's how do I say no? And
Yeah.
how do people say no?
Yeah, think about even the email. Some people get 100 emails a day. I mean, that could consume your whole day rather than focusing on your most important
Yeah.
activities. So yeah, it's really a case of when you live with purpose, it's easier to say yes and no. When you live with clear priorities, it's
Yeah.
easier to say yes and no. If you don't have priorities, if you're just into keeping busy and fulfilled by keeping busy, you're going to miss a lot of the best life it can offer. But if you prioritize, and as we've talked about earlier, still stay flexible because you
Yes.
don't know when you're supposed to write a book or when you're supposed
Right.
to, right?
Exactly.
Prioritize, but still stay flexible. It's such a cool balance to try to
Yeah.
find because when you're prioritized, it's easier to say no to something. No, that doesn't fit in my priorities right now. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to do this, or I'm going to have to postpone it a month or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you have no priorities and you're just reacting to what comes, it's easy to get overwhelmed. But yeah, so having clear priorities, having clear purpose actually helps with this as well. And that is, I'm going to say no to that and yes to this.
Yes.
Even if you're a people pleaser, which is
Yes.
really hard to do as a people
Yes.
pleaser, right?
Yes.
But I have some clear priorities, although
Yeah.
I'm flexible on what direction to take those. So it's a difficult balance that we're trying to
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
there with being prioritized and able to say no at the same time being flexible to what comes up and inner reflective and reflecting, is this the right, should I change my priority for this
Yeah.
day, this week, this month, based on what I know about where I'm trying to take my life and what would be best. So anyhow, it's tricky. I don't have a quick fix to that other than to say people that are clear on their purpose and priorities have an easier time saying no.
Yeah. The boundaries of, yeah, I get hit all the time, come and do this or join that. And it's, thank you very much. But I'm very much entrenched in what I'm doing right now. And I always go with my core value. When my core says yes, explore it. You don't know where it's going to go, then I will explore it. If my core says no, I honor it because my
No, that's
core
a good
knows
word.
best. And
That's a
so
good word.
you've got to honor yourself and your own boundaries because it's very easy to get bent and people guilt tripping you. Do not feel guilty for saying no.
Right. Yeah, really good point. Someone asked me the question. One of my son Tanner's friends, Zoe, asked me the question the other day. Said, "Would you rather be speaking of flow and balance? Would you rather be a 4 to 6 in life and happiness and in success, or would you rather be an 8 to 10 with some days 1 to 2?" And so I love that question. It was fascinating. I put it out to my goals Facebook group, and there was lots of banter around it. I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think this is where we ended up on this idea of flow and balance and flexibility. Is that yes, I still want to be an 8 to 10 in
Yes.
happiness and contribution and success, and I just hope I have the skills to deal with the some weeks or days or years that are 1 to 2, right? So
Yeah.
constantly equipping ourselves, because I love an 8 can be, you've just made a difference in 25 people's lives
Yeah.
because you're a teacher and they've all done well on their math scores, English scores, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, I still have some down days, but give me the grace and the insight and the skills to be able to deal with that, to get back to the levels that I want to be. So I don't, that was an interesting question
Yeah,
because
I
steady
think I would
state
change the
is,
numbers like 4 to 8. I'm
yeah,
not going down to the
yeah,
two.
that's true.
Sorry.
Maybe if the question was 4 to 8, I'll take the 4 to 8.
Yeah, I can never be a 10. I don't have that kind of energy.
Right,
I don't want to be a 2 because that's too hard to come back out of.
right.
So yeah, maybe even
Can I stay in the
uh,
range of 6 to 8?
yeah, I would actually prefer to be in the 6 to 8. Yeah, exactly. And but that also it comes down to choice, isn't it? Yes, in the saying no. Oh no, no, the priority today is me. I need to take the day out and rejuvenate me because I can't keep on giving unless I do that for me. My tank must be filled. And that's, I think, will stop you going down to that too. Don't wait until you do to the two, you know?
Absolutely. There's a whole section in the book that I talk about habits and daily planning and building this core. And there's lots of literature out there of starting your day, or if you're really, really a night person, do this. But I highly recommend, there's so many emotional, mental, physical, spiritual benefits. We're doing your best, most purposeful, fulfilling activities in the morning, exercise, prayer, meditation, script, whatever it fills your soul. It fills you, allowing you to be your best self in service to your mission that day. Do those things very first. Even if it makes waking up an hour earlier night. I have daughters with babies, and it's very difficult to do
Mm-hmm.
that now, right? With sleep at night. But find a time to fill yourself so you
Yes.
can be your best self. Do the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical work. And maybe you have to do all three things while you're listening to your meditation while you're walking outside because you've got a baby, whatever it is.
And the
But
baby in the carrier,
right,
yes.
right. How with the carriage, right? But do the mental, spiritual every day to fill your soul, fill your capacity, capability, so that then you can be your best self for whoever you're in service for and whatever you're in service for that day. Because we all want to do that. It's a daily thing. Like I've got
Yeah.
to, when I start my day, I want to start it with the best habits possible, so that I've got my best chance of being excellent today.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I never used to have until basically I had children was routine. And because I'm very much a flow person, routine was something that was a little foreign to me. Now, in my good old age, I have found that that routine. I start my shows only at 11 a.m. Pacific because I'm doing my
Hmm.
emails beforehand. I'm having my breakfast. I'm taking my time getting ready. It's my time and the gradual entry into time. Then I've got more to give. And I found that if I'm in that routine, I am more allowing to be in my flow.
Yes. Totally, totally true. My mother came and visited us while we were at this MBA program, and we had two little kids, as I mentioned. And when she left, she wrote us this note, and it was like 4 pages long about what we could do better with the kids, and the essence of the whole message. And I'm so grateful. My wife is humble and without guile, and able to accept this kind of thought. But basically, the message was build, and this was our first two kids, and we just moved across the country. Build little small routines in your life so that
Mm.
you can, basically have a great day.
Yes.
And with kids, it's important, but also
Yes.
us as an adult. And you know what?
Yeah.
It worked. We were stung for a day or two because of the feedback that we weren't
Yeah.
doing such a
Nobody
great
wants to be
job.
told how to raise
Yeah.
your children. We know it all. We've just
But
become
then
parents.
we did it, and it was amazing. And we thank my mom daily, if not weekly, for that little. She had the
Yeah.
courage
Yeah.
to tell us, and maybe we would have eventually discovered that, but she had the courage to tell us something hard, and we had the humility to accept it. And I tell you, it has not only benefited us raising kids, but in my own life today. I so thoroughly believe in that principle of build those simple routines to keep yourself happy and successful, rather than just reacting to what the day brings you. So yeah, you got to habits and routines are just so
Mm.
critical to success and
And
happiness.
it's they'll build it and it'll come. My Since my daughter's just had a baby, it's my first grandchild,
Nice.
and they're true millennials. So, they're measuring every feed whenever the time
That's
is. We just fed and then slept. And it's like I'm just
true.
and I didn't have a car beforehand because I didn't need it in Victoria. Then I would have bought a car because she's in Nanaimo, so an hour and a half away,
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
and it was like, okay, I'm have the car, I'm ready. I'm not going to see anybody for the first few weeks, and then mom. And it's mom, I need to go to a doctor's appointment, can you drive down and look after the kid? And I respect that this is their journey, and I'm just being there. And it's like she went off to this doctor's appointment. She called me, the baby's crying because he wants more bottle. And then my son-in-law texts me, and it's like, don't worry, I've done this before. I've done this before. It's never something you never ever forget. But they had to they had to kind of let me in, right? And it's like I'm just going to be there. I can make little suggestions, but otherwise it's kind of the intruding in on the space, which I know because I've got very strong-willed children. So it's
Well, isn't it fascinating that, it's a different skill set from raising kids to being a parent of adult kids.
yes.
And the quicker we can learn those lessons. Cheryl
Yeah,
just read a book called, how to walking on eggshells, how to raise your adult kids, or how to influence or be part
yeah.
of their lives. And it is a completely different skill set than when they were 4 years old. And it's more influential in love and compassion and all those kind of good things. And then when they're ready, they'll ask.
But
And
it's also for them to see you as a person and not as a parent anymore.
right,
That's been the
very
hardest
important.
journey for my
Great point.
kids, is especially with my illness. Is, my darling son, every time I would see him, Mum, you need to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do this. And then one day I just grabbed his hands and looked at him and said, every time you tell me that, you're making me feel broken. How about just put your loving arms around me and just give me a hug?
Mm,
That's healing.
yeah,
Don't remind me of my illness. Don't treat me as I'm broken. I know what I'm dealing with. Give me the cure for that day, and that's your loving arms. And
yeah,
it took the burden off him of feeling that he had to fix me, and understood the value of that loving hug. But you know what? I'm still in that stage where they're beginning to see, I've only been doing this 9 years, but beginning to see that mum, is doing okay with this. But I'm still mum. And so that's one thing. It's hard with the parent child thing. It's very often for them to see you other than the parent.
yeah,
So, and we just have to be true to who we are as the parents, as our own human beings, and eventually they'll catch up.
yeah. And from our standpoint, I wrote an additional line to my purpose statement in 2006, um, realizing that I had taught my kids expectations and dream bigs and how to accomplish things and get things done at school and work and life. And the line I added was basically a desire to live this continuous improvement with the spirit of love and compassion for myself and others.
Yes.
And I think to one of your earlier points is that if there's a lot of expectations out there, but if we can do it and live it with love and compassion, what a better planet, better family, better person I would be if we're all trying to practice those principles of love and compassion for yourself
Yes, thank you. I was going to interject there.
and
First,
others.
yourself,
Right,
because then you exude it out to everyone else. Yes.
right, right.
Yeah. And I think that's again another thing when people have their purpose and service is to everyone else and not to themselves. And it goes
Yep,
back to the old oxygenate yourself.
yep,
If you're gasping for breath, how can you help anyone else? So rejuvenate yourself and let your cup runneth over.
yep. Fill your tank, and then
Mm.
you can help bless people's lives the most.
But you also become the inspiration that begets invitation,
Mm.
because you
Speaking of adult
inspire other
kids, that's
people
good.
and it invites them to go, okay, maybe I can take this journey myself,
Right. The
which
power
is
of
all we can
example.
do. Right, it's all
Yep,
we can do. It's what your book is doing, it's what your service is doing. You're giving people the plan, the skills, the strategies, how they apply it, what they do with it is on them.
right.
Right, you're there to support them, but you can't walk it for them,
No,
and nor can you dictate how they do it. What you're doing is suggesting how they do it, in order, because it's worked for you. And that's all we can do. It's never ever get into any form of coaching in wanting to fix people or be the be all and the end all answer. You are part of the solution, you're part of the strategy, you're part of the planning that can help them move forward. But what they do with it is up to them.
right.
When you can let go of that, you can also let go of the burden and guilt if somebody doesn't take it, doesn't work it out. So how do people get hold of your book? What are you also offering people, and your site and everything else?
Yeah, people can just go to my site, CI for Life, the number four, ci4life.org, and you're going to see all sorts of tools for small business. I'm trying to help teach some consulting tools for small business. But then on the topics today, you'll also see books, journals, weekly planners, different tools that are going to help people find their way to their best life and provide a bit of a roadmap to how they might find it and get there. So yeah, there's lots, anything could be found on there, whether it be the book, the journal, the training courses, et cetera, et cetera.
We all need good habits to find our happiness, right?
Yes.
That comes in the form of routine, comes in the form of honoring yourselves, comes in the form of being open in order to see. But having that, when you go hiking, you don't want to go hiking in flip-flops. It's you don't want to go without water. You don't want to go without band-aids, or the satellite phone if you get caught somewhere. Preparation. And that preparation is going to mean that whatever journey you're taking is going to be a great deal more successful. But if you know why you're taking the journey and what it is that you would like to achieve along that journey, well, along with that preparation, will mean that success is most likely to meet you along the way.
Yeah, Sarah, let me also offer a free giveaway for your listeners today. If you just message me on my site there of ciforlife.org, I will send you, and just let me know, hey, I listened to your conversation with Sarah. And yes, please send me the free Audible link. So I can send you a free link to the Audible book. And I'm happy to do that. Just tell us
Wonderful.
you listened to this conversation today.
Excellent. Again, all we can do is be there, share our love, our compassion, our expertise. And again, what people do with it is up to them, but it's letting people know they're not alone. Your purpose
Yeah.
has changed now. Your purpose is to help people finding their purpose, the the skills on how to achieve it, the why they're doing it in the first place, what it means to them. And we do, and especially in this last year, so many people have been shaken up and they've kind of lost their way, or they're confused and what else is out there. And they've been living in tension for so long that sometimes just bringing you back home to those questions where you can relook at your mission, relook at your purpose, relook at how you can redirect yourself. It can just be the answer that you're needing in this time of confusion. So you were obviously meant to write this book during this time. And as I said, this is the time of actionism. So one of the actions they can take is reading the book and just start applying, because as you said, it's not just a reading, it's an interactive book. So interact with it and see how it's making a difference in your life. And that's all you can do,
That'd be
is
awesome.
please participate in your own life, because
Well
nobody else
said.
can until you do.
Well said.
Thank you so much, Rick. This has been wonderful having you here
Pleasure.
today.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And remember, everybody, there is always an answer. Rick has got this wonderful book of you finding your purpose. So what is your purpose? If you've lost it along the way, or it's a new purpose now, or you just need to kind of figure things out and moving forward, get the book, reach out to him, and just start your journey, because I promise you, staying stagnant is not where you're meant to be. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. You will hear many shows here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. We have new shows for you out every week. Just find them on our podcast or What's New. If you feel that you have something to share that makes a difference in the lives of others, or you too feel that you could be a host, please contact me at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com and we will be glad to speak with you. Have a wonderful day.